Alright, we have to talk about Dracula. He is the whole reason I made this Rulers of the Dark series, and was it a smart idea to make a series off a champion I didn't know was gonna be good or not? Maybe not the smartest idea, right? But that's okay. But first, if you like champion showcases like this, if you like the spooky season, boo, I gotcha, then be sure to subscribe because we are on the road to 19,000, and I cannot get there without y'all's help. But first, let's talk about this Thanos matchup. One of his better matchups because of his slow on the SP1. It is like 40 seconds plus, so as soon as you drop it, you're pretty much in complete control of this fight. And there's a few things to mention about this champion. First things first is that dire degen. You want to activate it by interrupting any attack with a light attack, and once you get that, you get more ticks on the degen, and when you drop the SP2 while you're already dire, you get a massive amount of ticks on the SP2. So overall, his whole damage source is that degen, which is pretty much permanent for like every health pool he has to face, which is really nice. It really isn't a worry at all in the matchups, and neither is that slow. And so for that reason, once we dropped the first SP1, the fight was just under control, and it was a sub 1 minute takedown of a very tanky champion. Now we have this Dark Phoenix here. This one is a very interesting one, right? Because he has access to slow like I mentioned earlier, and he is a degen damage dealer, but for some reason, I swear that Dark Phoenix reduced all DOT damage by 75%, but his is it's just untouched. So we have that going for us. We have our damage source just like not modified at all. So I feel like he is one of the better options for Dark Phoenix for that exact reason. And I think him being a degen DPS does make him really valuable, especially in a matchup like this where your damage is capped for the majority of it. But here we go for the SP2. The damage is ticking so nicely. We get that intercept, and yeah, the matchup is pretty much done. Like the easy part of it, right? Now we have the hard part with the Nova Flame. Here I go for the SP1. The degen is doing some really good work here, and so is the regeneration that Dracula has as well. Here we go for another SP1, and yeah, the regen is trying to combat that Nova Flame, and it's doing a pretty decent job at it. And so for that reason, we end this fight with like 90+% health, which is really solid for a Dark Phoenix matchup because usually those don't go anywhere near as smooth, and it was about a minute in fight time. So overall, not too bad. Now we have this Maestro here, and this I believe is the last like major cosmic defender. I don't show the serpent in this video because I'm not gonna lie, I just did not really believe in that matchup. Maybe you saw in other channels, that's great. I just didn't want to showcase it here because I just couldn't bring myself to show it on this video. I just didn't feel like it was a good enough matchup for Dracula. But here we go for the light attack, interruption to get that dire degen. Then I drop the SP2, get the nullify, get the cosmic radiation, or not the radiation, but like the cosmic charges on pause as well. And now the threat of Maestro was pretty much neutralized. Here we go for a relic into a slower combo. Then we drop the SP1, time it so we can get the pause yet again. And this matchup is pretty much over. We go for a light attack interruption right here, and his spacing is pretty nice. You do have to learn some of the matchups, like such as that Maestro SP2, but once you get in like the groove of it, then this champion is like really satisfying to play. But now we have this Terrax matchup, and I'm trying to showcase the awakened ability here because what it does is it gives Dracula more attack rating per armor break on him. So the max is 5. Once we hit 5, we are doing some pretty nasty numbers on the regular hits. The degen is unaffected by attack rating increase, so that does kind of suck, but it does make the regular hits go kind of crazy. And like a 58,000 crit right there, the fight's pretty much over. And yeah, foil bar on that Terrax, and it was also like 24 seconds, I want to say. Yeah, it was pretty disgusting, man. Against Terrax and like a few other cosmics, he is really broken and like really fast. Now we have the Zola matchup, and this one's a pretty cool one. it does go to show how like this champion can pretty much do anything. Like I've seen Yelena takedowns, I've seen takedowns of plenty of other defenders that you wouldn't think he'd be good for, but he is pretty solid for these defenders, especially the ones that like that just don't have an answer to his degen, and Zola is one of those defenders. So it's a very interesting part of this character, right? Because he can do these matchups. He's doing a very good job in this one. And yeah, there are plenty of champions that he just works for because of his damage source. Yelena is another one. I don't have it in this video, but keep in mind that he is pretty much guaranteed a super showcase, so I'll include it for that one. And yeah, Arnim Zola is pretty much one of them as well. He does a very good job of bypassing all of Zola's armor, his cowardice, his immunities. He is just a really solid option for this champion. The main issue is the fight time here. So here I go for the relic into the combo into the SP2, and yeah, the fight is down. We got a very healthy HP bar at the end of it. However, it was like 1 minute and 10 seconds, I want to say. So yeah, he does work for these matchups, right? He's a great option for Thanos. He's great for Dark Phoenix. Also great for Maestro, Terrax, and like I showed you in that small example, it is pretty easy for this guy to extend beyond the Cosmic class because of his damage source. The issue that many people are having with this character is the fact that yes, degen is a great damage source, but is he a good damage dealer, right? Because you can have like the best damage source available. Will it matter if you aren't that fast as a whole? And I would say that Dracula isn't like the fastest champion out there. Obviously, there are much faster mystics. There are faster champions that have degen as their main damage source. But the thing with Dracula is it's not always about fight time, right? If you play Battlegrounds, then yeah, it'll be a factor, but I don't play that mode anymore. I've retired from it pretty much, so I just want to see if champions are useful. This champion is very useful because he is so hard to find when it comes to a combination of a rare damage type but also just turbo utility. He has a slow, he has a fear, and just the fact that there isn't much going on with this rotation makes him a whole lot better for me personally, because what is there to do, right? Just light attack, interruption, and there you go. He has his main damage, and that's it. If you want to go for more damage, SP2 while you have the Dire active, and there you go. Simple as that. You need the SP1 utility, drop it. It's hardly a damage loss. You need the fear. Well, hey, guess what? That goes with his main damage loop. So I like how easy this champion is to master. I wouldn't say to master, right? Because to get the best out of this champion, there are some tricks to him, obviously, but I think anyone can just pick up this champion and do good things with him, and that's great, right? It's great to have champions like that because sometimes rotations are too much, sometimes characters are just asking for too much, and when they do that, it makes it hard for them to fit into like some Battlegrounds metas, into some just like story quest nodes, because they just require too much in the rotation. But this guy is like as simple as it gets, and I really do love champions like that, especially ones that are both easy to play and have a lot to offer utility wise, and he is exactly that, right? Is he gonna get the fight done like really quickly, like a Juggernaut level? Obviously not, right? Because that's a whole different level of damage, but he will get a lot more fights done because he is way harder to stop, and the trade-off is he is just slower. But now we have this boss fight here, and this is a really good showing of what this champion has to offer, right? Because this is a Footloose Baron Zemo. Baron Zemo and Footloose, one of the more annoying matchups in this game, because one, he has the cleanse, so you can't slow debuff him. It's really hard to do that with his cleanse passives. And two, he can like just be a really big threat with the block. Thankfully, Dracula doesn't have to block. He really doesn't want to block because of his interruption with the light attack. But yeah, the slow is active, and now we have really good control, if not complete control of this fight. And now the game plan is to just stick with the SP1 every so often and just keep on trying to get the maximum damage output, because the SP2 does contribute a lot to like Dracula's overall damage. Now Dracula against these health pools is interesting because he is a damage dealer that I think his damage is just flat, right? You get what you get, and it's pretty hard to increase it. I think his damage output is one that is best utilized in shorter matchups. So against a longer matchup like this, there are a lot of champions that get more damage as the fight goes on, and like this is their type of matchup that they want to be in. For example, Null, right? Dracula is not that, because he doesn't improve on his damage the higher the health pool is, it just stays the same. So for that reason, this is going to be like a relatively slower fight compared to other damage dealers that do excel in these higher health pools. And so I would say that Dracula's favorite health pool is the shorter ones, and even then his damage output against those smaller health pools isn't anything to celebrate. Like I said earlier in this video, I think the best part about this champion is his versatility and his damage type, and not really his damage output. So having a champion like that is really cool. I think we have a lot of like crazy damage dealers. We have honestly too many of them in 2025, so it's nice to have someone that's more versatile. And Dracula kind of reminds me of like Bastion, who has a very good damage source and great utility, and his damage output is really good, obviously, and it's like it makes for pretty decent fight times. And Dracula, kind of the same thing, right? His fight time is pretty decent in those shorter health pools. It's not like really top tier, but given what he has to offer on the utility side, I think it does more than make up for it. Same thing with Bastion, right? So yeah, I think this character, I think he's a really cool addition, right? He's in a class that is very tough right now to compete with, because some of them are just like really overpowered. You have champions like Shothra, champions like the Hood, Nico, Kushala, my personal favorite Spiral, but what Dracula has to offer is the fact that he can go beyond the cosmic class very well. So we'll have to see how that plays into his overall perception. But let me know your thoughts on Dracula. This is just the start of the Blood chapter of Rulers of the Dark. We got plenty of more Dracula content on the way, and yeah, that's about it for me.